Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. E3's been a little tricky to keep track of this year, and so this video is going to summarize all the top-line important things that you might have missed, as well as pulling out 5 or 6 main things that I think you should really be paying attention to, and that also win, I suppose, my MrRoflWaffles Games of E3 award, or whatever the hell that is. I've just invented it on the spot, so we're gonna roll with it. So, without further ado, let's jump into our random tidbits, news, and things that you might have missed section. A physical edition of Hades is coming to Xbox, and it's going to launch on Game Pass on August 13th. Doom Eternal is getting a next-gen upgrade on June 29th, including 120 FPS mode, ray tracing, 4K support for consoles, and PCs getting ray tracing too. Forza Horizon 5 is coming out on November 9th on Xbox and PC, and it's set in Mexico this year, with really diverse landscapes. They showed off dynamic seasons that rotate weekly, and there are new arcade modes as well. Back 4 Blood, the game that's sort of the spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead, showed off a PvP mode where players either control the zombies, which are called Ridden, or humans, and it looks similar to Versus from Left 4 Dead, which I guess is no surprise. Speaking of zombies, Rainbow Six Extraction is launching on September 16th on all platforms, including old gen, and this was previously called Rainbow Six Quarantine and then Rainbow Six Parasite. It got renamed a few times because of the panoramic, but it also kinda looks Left 4 Dead-y. You play solo or co-op with friends, it's got crossplay, siege operators, and you basically fight through these kind of alien things and then get to safe houses and then keep fighting. That's why I said it looks like Left 4 Dead. It looks pretty cool. Rainbow Six Siege is also getting crossplay support next year, and I don't know how that's going to work. I feel like console players are going to get pooped on, but I don't know. Seems a bit sus to me, but whatever. And speaking of, Among Us is getting 15-player lobby support with 3 imposters. Now then, the news you've all been waiting for, Microsoft Flight Sim, and I shouldn't joke about this because it's honestly a beautiful game, is getting an Earth 2 update released on Xbox Series X and S on July 27th. A Plague Tale Requiem has been announced, which is a sequel to A Plague Tale Innocence. It's that game about all the rats. I feel like you guys might remember, or maybe not. Anyway, it's got even more rats in the next one, and it's coming out in 2022. Who'd have thought at the start of this year, with everything going on worldwide, that I'd be announcing next-gen rats in an E3 recap? Yeah, actually, that's kind of on brand for this year, so never mind. Jack Sparrow and Friends from Pirates of the Caribbean joins Sea of Thieves as a free update on June 22nd, and there's going to be new story content and enemies being added alongside the film's characters. Riders Republic is coming out on September 2nd on old and current gen as well as PC, and it's made by the studio that made Steep, if you guys remember that game. It's got extreme snow sports, it's got iconic US national parks like Yosemite, and it's got bicycles. What more could you want? I mean, there really is no other news that could be bigger for you, I'm sure, apart from maybe that Fallout 76 is getting 2 new expansions. I don't know if this game's completed its redemption arc from being the most hated game on the planet to something that actually is liked now, but if it hasn't yet, then maybe it'll get a little closer to it with the Steel Rain campaign releasing on July 7th and the Pit Expedition in 2022. And also, alongside all of that stuff, they're shutting down their BR mode because no one plays it. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is getting a new expansion located in Paris, taking place a few years after the main story. It's in Paris, guys. Now you know. Resident Evil Village has DLC in development, but no details revealed just yet. You'll have to sit tight for that one. Diablo 2 Resurrected is releasing September 23rd on Xbox One, Series X, and PC, and the remaster will feature 4K 60 FPS. It's going to stay true to the original visuals, but just try and improve fidelity. That looks honestly pretty cool. And one of my favorite trailers from E3 actually ended up belonging to none other than The Outer Worlds 2. I actually recommend you give this a watch for yourself. It was just a really enjoyable trailer, and while not much is known about the game, it's announced that it's going to be coming to Series X and S and PC, and certainly right now at least, it's in early dev, but the rest is all pretty much a mystery. I'll link the trailer below if you do want to give it a watch. Now, Contraband by Avalanche Studios was announced, and details are also scarce on this one, but it's an open-world co-op game of some kind set in the 1970s. Aaron Greenberg called it a co-op smuggler's paradise, so I recommend you watch the teaser for this one as well if you want to get a kind of feel for what the hell's going on here. Far Cry 6 has a new gameplay trailer, and this is also a good watch. I think that part of what I'm really attracted to with this game is just the villain, man. He's such a good actor, and I know people were complaining when they first showed gameplay because they thought that it was a graphics downgrade and stuff like that, but honestly, if the shadows aren't 100% perfect, it's not the end of the world to me. I'm much more interested in that kind of traditional crazy Far Cry gameplay and just that story, man, it looks gripping. I'm really looking forward to it. Now, I've got to kind of let the Gearbox fans down here a little bit, because I think that Gearbox might have had the worst E3 conference that I can actually remember in history ever, maybe? It just didn't really land, in my opinion. However, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands has been announced, and that does look good and does look like it's going to land. It's coming out early 2022 on last and next gen and PC, and it's basically the Dragon Keep DLC for Borderlands 2, except it's like a full game now. It's a spin-off with an epic high fantasy take on the looter-shooter genre. It's got aspects of the game that we haven't had previously in Borderlands, so you can character create, for example, stuff like that, and it just looks like fun. Just silly fun. So I'm looking forward to that one. And speaking of silly fun, if any of you guys caught the Devolver conference, it was just bananas as always. I mean, they are absolutely out of their minds, but I love them for it, and I really recommend you give that one a watch. I'll link the entire conference down below. It was just, I don't know, zany maybe is the way to put it. Very silly, tongue-in-cheek, all of that good stuff. Replaced is a 2.5D sci-fi action platformer coming out in 2022 on Xbox One, XS, PC, all of that good stuff. The game features a main character with an AI trapped in a human body against its own will. It's one of the most beautiful sort of pixel style games I've ever seen. I think this just looks cool. And another one that looks cool is Atomic Heart, which doesn't yet have a release date, but more gameplay was shown for the first time this year, and it kind of gives off like a BioShock Infinite vibe at first glance. It's going to be an open world action RPG. Events are going to unfold in an alternate universe during the high noon of the Soviet Union. You play as a special KGB agent. It just seems pretty interesting, so might be worth a look. Oh, and Gabe Newell also showed up to announce basically nothing. With all those tidbits out of the way and general news covered, we can get into my kind of E3 awards for the things that I think were the best of show. I will be starting with a wild card that I don't think was the best of the best. Don't get me wrong here, okay? I feel like I'm going to get some flack for this in the comments, but honestly, roast me, guys. I'm ready for it. I'm giving an award to Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. Yes, we are getting an Avatar game, which is being made by the creators of The Division. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Genuinely, my brain cannot really comprehend what's happening here. But if you kind of imagine The Division and the engine that it was made on, the Snowdrop engine, and then basically wipe all that away and replace it with the polar opposite, like lush vegetation and alien avatars, like, yeah, that's the game. And to top it all off, it's actually first person, so very, very different from The Division. But the reason I'm bringing it up here is I don't think it's worth ruling out, simply based on the fact that everyone has already discounted this game as like a failure, and we don't know anything about it. They've already said, it looks bad, no one cares about Avatar. But honestly, give it a chance, guys, because Massive are really good developers. Even if you're not a fan of The Division, some of their environmental storytelling is genuinely fantastic, and I think that's going to set them up really well to make a game like this. And they're also simultaneously working on an open world Star Wars game, so they're going to be able to share tech there. They're going to be able to share ideas and just general kind of like momentum in actually getting this thing finished. And so I don't think you should be ruling it out. It's the wild card for a reason. It's Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. Next, I feel like I can't go any further in an E3 video without talking about Elden Ring for the sake of my own personal safety, if nothing else. This, to nobody's surprise, looks absolutely gorgeous, and I promise I'm not just saying that because I fear being eviscerated in the comments section. No, it looks wonderful. It's like Dark Souls 4 with even more of a focus on story and lore. Obviously, it's got George R.R. Martin at the helm. It's launching January 21st, 2022, so it's not even that far away now, on last and next gen and PC. And honestly, if you're already an Elden Ring fan, I probably don't need to explain why it looks so great, but if you're kind of confused but curious and want to maybe give this style of gameplay or possible style of gameplay a try, I really recommend you guys check out Bloodborne. In my opinion, it's one of the best games to get into this style and genre that you can possibly find. I love games like this, and it just looks great. So Elden Ring, ticked off. It's definitely up there with some of the best games shown at E3. Next is one that I don't know how you guys are going to react to. I just have no idea, because a lot of people are insanely hyped for this game, but I'm not sure if those people are going to be watching this video, because I think the vast majority of them speak Russian. It's Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl. Now, if you don't know, Stalker stands for Scavengers, Trespassers, Adventurers, Loners, Killers, Explorers, and Rabbits, and it's one of the most visually stunning games from E3, I would say. It's the 4th installment in the Stalker series, the last of which launched a decade ago now, which is crazy to think of, in 2009. And it's meant to basically encompass these kind of core themes. You've got challenging combat combined with a kind of weird, chilling horror and a thrilling fight for survival as well. I think this is another one where the trailer's definitely worth a watch if you are interested in some of the things that I've just said and some of the gameplay that I've shown here. I dismissed it at first because I haven't played the previous Stalker games, but I'm rethinking it now because there's a lot of hype for this one and it did genuinely look pretty cool. Winning the MrRoflWaffles, I don't really know what this game's actually going to be like, but I'm just hyped based off pretty much a 60-second teaser alone award, is Starfield, which is now confirmed to be releasing on the 11th of November 2022 and is also now confirmed to be an Xbox exclusive as well as PC. So PlayStation players, sorry about that, Bethesda are with Xbox now. It's Bethesda's first new universe in 25 years, probably just going to be Fallout but in space, and they describe it as you embarking on an epic journey to answer humanity's greatest mystery. But at this point, honestly, actual Starfield gameplay is probably the biggest mystery out there, so I hope they solve that one for us soon. I can't point you towards any cool videos really for this one, unfortunately, but I'm hyped essentially because it's Bethesda, and despite the fact that their track record has been a little shoddy in the last few years, I think they're going to knock this one out of the park. I can just feel it in my jellies. Now then, let's talk multiplayer games for a second. There are 2 games that I want to kind of jointly give the MrRoflWaffles Best MP of E3 award to, one of which is Halo Infinite, which we finally have quite a bit of MP gameplay for, and it really does look to me like they're successfully honoring that classic Halo flavor and style, keeping those old core fans happy, while also introducing some new things for newer players to kind of get introduced into the Halo sandbox with. And one of those things that has already been announced, but that we're kind of seeing unfolding in front of us now, is multiplayer is going to be free for all Xbox and PC players. So that, I'm sure, will be really good for just the life of Halo in general. And some good news as well is that despite the fact that there have been a few controversies about the game being delayed, obviously, and people being worried that it wouldn't launch with campaign and stuff like that, it is launching with campaign and MP. Both of those are coming at launch, and the release date's also been confirmed as holiday 2021. The other game that I think deserves a Best MP of E3 award is Battlefield 2042. It looks phenomenal. I'll be honest with you guys, it's that bombastic, bananas, bonkers Battlefield gameplay that you'd kind of expect, and those moments that can only really happen in Battlefield, with, again, an attempt to honor the interests and the desires of the core fan base that have stuck with Battlefield over the years, while also modernizing it in some areas and updating it for newer players. So, for example, the kind of character classes now, they don't restrict what weapon you're carrying in any way. You've got a kind of field upgrade that you can use on each class, and one of those is a grappling hook, which looks really cool. The game is not launching with a campaign, and it isn't launching with a battle royale mode either. They really want to just zone in on their core MP experience here, and I truly think they might have tapped into something special. I'll be covering this a bunch more on the channel as well, so you can look forward to that. If you're a Nintendo fan, the best Nintendo thing at E3 was Breath of the Wild 2, and I think honestly this is going to be one where if you're excited for this game, you've probably already seen the trailer by the time you're seeing this video, but it looks cool. If you're on the fence about it, you have the benefit of being able to try out Breath of the Wild 1 to see if you like that first, and chances are you will, because it's one of the best reviewed games like ever, basically, on Switch, and it's just loved by many. So maybe the stuff that you're seeing on screen right now looks interesting. I'm mentioning it here because I know this is going to be a masterpiece of a game. It just comes down to whether you're into Zelda and kind of Nintendo games, or if you're more of a traditional PC player or something like that. And now, finally, the game that I didn't expect to be winning my Best of E3 award, because honestly, I didn't know it existed prior to the show, is also a game that I thought did exist, but for an entirely different franchise, alright? I thought that we were getting an Elder Scrolls Redfall in 2027 or something, but no, Redfall is actually a completely different game made by Arcane Studios, who previously made Prey and Dishonored, and it's yet another open world co-op shooter, but just the teaser that they showed for this, that little trailer, oh my god, chef's kiss, mwah, it was just so cool. The aesthetic, I love everything about it. It's like a Left 4 Dead / Back 4 Blood game, but with vampires as the enemies this time, and there's magic in it as well, and it just looks charming. It's set in Redfall, surprisingly, Massachusetts, which is under siege by vampires. The vampires have blocked out the sun to create an island cut off from the outside world. Like, it just makes me happy. I don't know why, but I just really liked that trailer, and granted, obviously, it's not gameplay, but it's fine. It's early days. It's coming out in summer 2022. Plenty more time for us to get actual gameplay for this one, and so I'm giving this a MrRoflWaffles award for one of the best games at E3 this year. So, in summary, Starfield, Stalker, Halo Infinite, Elden Ring, Redfall, Avatar, kind of, maybe a little bit, and a bunch of other stuff got shown, looks cool, and the only remaining thing I have to say now is please let me know in the comments down below which of these games you want to see more videos on from me. It's an awful lot of stuff that I could be covering, and I need your guidance as to what would be best, so please let me know with a comment down below. Thanks, I'll see you next time, bye for now.